Tēnā rā tātou e te iwi. Kia ora everybody, welcome to the very first edition of NZ Fight Report. I'm SJ, this is Jason. We're a group of fighters, fight fans and journalists who've gotten together to bring you the latest on all the combat sports around New Zealand.
We're kicking off our first show with a look back at combat sports events so far this year, beginning with 2 MMA events in the North Island.
Napier's first sanctioned cage fighting event featured a few big names from the MMA world. Dan the Gravedigger Digby, training locally at Fierce Fitness, faced off against Forrest Goodwin, who happens to hold the ICNZ middleweight title, though neither bout was on the line on the night. It took just over 2 minutes of the fight for Digby to win by submission. Digby, who's a brown belt in BJJ, used ground and pound effectively to force the opening and sunk in a vicious rear naked choke when the opportunity presented itself.
And in another key bout, Auckland MMA's Ev Ting beat Will the Kill Choke from Phuket Top Team by second round knockout after a closely contested first round. Ting, who's a hotly tipped prospect in the featherweight division, survived numerous submission attempts from the aggressive grappler Chope in the first round, but Ting was able to take him down when he desired, and he eventually landed a series of blistering punches on the feet as the second round began, ending Chope's night early. Ting has actually fought again since, losing by submission to Mark Striegel of the Philippines at Legend Fighting Championship 7 in Macau just last week.
In the latest instalment of the Shuriken promotion, Oliver MMA's Brandon the Wrath Ropati faced off against Strikeforce Canterbury's Shannon Dillon in the main event. Ropati, coming off a win over American Devon Schwann in September, is tipped for big things in MMA, and he showed it in a dominant first-round knockout victory against South Islander Dillon. We'll be talking to Ropati later in the show as we look at the upcoming ICNZ 16 event, where he'll be facing American veteran Smarlin Sam Alvey in his biggest test yet. Elsewhere on the Shuriken bill, it was a good night for Oliver MMA, with wins for Mika Maliafulu, Selby Devereaux, Sam Gascoigne, as well as Ropati. All 4 of these fighters will be showcased on the upcoming ICNZ card.
And we now move over to the grappling world, where it's been a successful few months for New Zealand's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. Towards the end of January, a pair of New Zealanders took home medals from the FILA Oceania 2012 Wrestling and Grappling Championships in Sydney. Glenn Coombridge, training at the Combat Room in Wellington, took gold in the senior men's no-gi grappling under 65 kilo division, while Vaughan Antonio of UCOL MMA in Palmerston North won silver in the senior men's gi grappling under 110 kilo division. It's been a particularly good period for Wellington's Combat Room, with 4 BJJ practitioners having qualified for the 2012 Abu Dhabi Combat Club World Championship.
Now it's a good moment because we're going to have 4 guys from Wellington to represent New Zealand overseas doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so this is a great opportunity to Kiwis show the technique and the level we've been developing in New Zealand.
I've had a couple of close goes over the previous years, but this year, or last year, I managed to take it out in the brown and black belt division. Winning that competition basically meant that I was the top brown or black belt in the country at any weight. So it was, for me, it was a massive achievement.
I won the under 74 kg ticket. Actually ended up fighting my good friend Glenn in the final.
For sure, these guys, we are ready to represent New Zealand really well, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna bring some medals again, for sure.
Up next, we're going to check out what's coming up for New Zealand fight fans over the next month. Next Saturday, the 25th of February, it's going to be a big night for New Zealand Muay Thai, as we have events happening all around the North Island. In Wellington, KO Promotions' Deadly Debut returns to its 16th edition, and there's an amateur female 57 kg Muay Thai title on the line. We spoke with the main event fighters, Angela Bennett and Freya Thomson, at their respective gyms in Palmerston North to find out how they were preparing for this fight.
Current training keys are probably just to train hard, like train at high intensity every time. We mix it up a lot of circuits, sprint training, which I really hate, but is actually really good for you.
It's probably the best camp that she's ever been in. Angie's best quality would be that she never gives up. She just fights hard all the time.
I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, but I've never done karate or taekwondo. When you're fighting Phil Tyrrells, you've got the added element of knees to the head and elbows. Having extra weapons, it sometimes slows the fight down, so it gets a bit more technical, and it's just something else at your disposal to try and outsmart your opponent with.
I actually can't remember my best fight moment. I typically don't remember my fights. In the past I've done a little bit of Taekwondo, competed in that for a few years and then moved into Muay Thai.
That a lot of the boys don't like to spar with her and partner up with her, and that she's quite feisty, which is awesome. First time I sparred her, she kicked me in the head. Yeah, it was going a lot better than I thought it would be. She's quite determined and hopefully it'll come out on the night.
This is my first full Thai rules fight. I was ready to step up to it. I was feeling good about going into fighting with elbows. Didn't think it would be a title fight, but you know, these things happen. We'll just roll with it.
It tends to freak you out worrying out about what they're going to do, and you have no control over that. All you can control is what you're going to do and what you're capable of doing.
Just give it your all, just train hard and do your thing in the ring. Don't worry about what other people do. Just get it done.
There's also 2 exciting bouts to watch out for. Kari Kaski of MTI against Sean Tormedy from Jai, both recently returning from overseas. Kari from China and Sean from Thailand. This highly anticipated match is set to energise the crowd as a precursor to the main event. Another fight to look out for, Chris Eads of Combat Room against Richard Heaps from Jai. Chris is looking to build on a split decision win in his first amateur, while Heaps is making his first amateur debut. Both exciting fighters, this is set to be a really competitive battle.
And while Deadly debut is happening February 25th at the Lower Hutt Horticultural Hall in Wellington, Auckland will be treated to its own stat card of kickboxing action, as 1 Commonwealth title and 3 professional Muay Thai belts are up for grabs, alongside 2 super fights and a long-awaited grudge rematch from last year's King of the Ring event, courtesy of Phillip Lam Promotions. We talked to long-time promoter, trainer and bastion of New Zealand's Muay Thai scene, Sifu Phillip Lam, about what we can expect from this card, which is being advertised as a New Zealand versus Australia fight night.
This promotion in the next week, 5-6 already very hard fight using very experienced fighter, which he has a lot of experience in his corner. Hayden, the Chinese champion last year, November, very strong fighter. Yeah, I think we will go to half fight. Another match, middleweight title. One of my boy Joe Kingway, Sammy has so much experience, but Joe's doing the Eggman last year for the 72 kilos. Yeah. For the Australian fighter, for Harley, he's been left title for 4 years. He's been fight over there. He fight all of the champions too. He's been training the champions in. But one of my boy, Brent, yeah, he's a young boy. They both were 20. Really, really exciting fighter. He trained so hard. Last year he picked the Chinese champion, Yilong. Yilong is a very strong fighter. And he hasn't been only lose once, but he picked him in November in New Zealand last year. I think the Australian fighter are more experienced than my boy, but my boy is really go hard and train so hard. And I think it's go really hard match. 3 New Zealand title fight. In the Commonwealth title fight, I think will be very exciting fight.
The New Zealand versus Australia fight night goes down on the 25th of February at the ASB Stadium in Auckland, and it's definitely not one to miss.
Lastly, in upcoming events is the return of ICNZ. Now on its 16th show, Oliver MMA's Brandon the Wrath Ropati takes on Bellator veteran Smiling Sam Alvey for the main event. We caught up with Brandon via Skype.
I need a good challenge. I need to fight someone like him, you know, and I feel good, you know, I'm ready to go. I've been training. I'm confident in my skill set. You know, I'm looking forward to this one. I'm probably more excited than him. I try to use all my weapons, from standing, from kickboxing, but a lot of my fights have gone to the ground. I like the ground and pounder, which I would say would be one of my best weapons. Just taking my opponents to the ground and just pounding him out. I got to see a little bit more footage on Sam Alvey because he's quite a prolific fighter in the States. I think he's fought in some big shows over there. More harder for him not having much on me, but for me it's good. My dad's always been a big part of my sports and stuff, and he works hard at what he does. I see how hard he works, and that inspires me to do the same with what I do. with my sport and where I want to go. My ultimate goal competing in mixed martial arts is to fight on the biggest stage in the world, and that's the UFC. It's the grandest stage of mixed martial arts is the UFC.
Ropati's opponent, Smiling Sam Alvey, is a seasoned veteran with a solid professional record of 17 wins and 3 losses, with 9 of those wins coming by KO and 2 by submission. That's not all for the ICNZ card. In the featherweight division, Southern Martial Arts Centre representative and local favourite Doug Dynamite Higgins also faces an overseas import in tough British submission artist James Saville, who's fighting on behalf of Cage Steel out of Yorkshire, England. Saville is currently riding a decent win streak, but he'll have his work cut out for him with ICNZ featherweight title holder Higgins. The card is rounded out by an interesting heavyweight clash between Pani Haraki of Fierce Fitness and Steve Warbeer from City MMA, which is sure to be a thrilling encounter. Alright, thanks for joining us for our first episode. If you want to get in touch with us, you can either do so through Facebook or you can email us on nzfightreport@gmail.com.
We leave you now with a short preview of the next Supremacy MMA show. Thanks again and see you next time.